Welcome to India Today Any. I'm Ashmita Saha, and today we are joined by Dr. Ishan Shivanand, a mental health researcher and professor specializing in non-pharmaceutical, non-invasive meditative modalities. He's also the founder of the Yoga of Immortals programs. Amid rising concerns about mental health globally, with reports of increased stress, anxiety, and burnout, especially in light of post-pandemic world, mental wellness has become a critical topic. Governments and organizations worldwide are emphasizing the need for better mental health solutions. Dr. Ishan has merged ancient Indian healing sciences with modern mental wellness solutions, addressing challenges like stress and anxiety through his programs, benefiting professionals, athletes, and military personnel by building resilience and improving mental health. So, Dr. Ishan, welcome.
Thank you so very much, Miss Asmita. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, we are pleased to have you here, sir. Okay, so before we start the set of questions that I have for you, you first define what mental wellness is in today's fast-paced world. So what basically is mental wellness?
I will define mental wellness as the ability to do the work that is required from us and at the same time feeling fulfilled, content, and at peace. It is in human nature to feel that we are evolving, to feel that we are achieving. We have an innate healing ability that makes us resilient and that gives us the power to enjoy the world that is around us. And mental wellness strives to help us be in tune with this inner capability.
Okay. And why do you think it is becoming increasingly important nowadays?
It is becoming increasingly important because if we look at any data or graphs that is um, taken out from the surveys from government, medical institutions, educational institutions, we are seeing a severe decline in mental health of individuals, especially the young generation. When I say young, I mean the generation that's just coming out of the universities, that's entering the workforce, and even generation as young as the ones that are in high school. They are dealing with stress and anxiety and depression that we have not seen before in history. And such data is definitely a cause of panic that what it is that we are doing that is wrong in our approach towards life itself that is causing such mental health predicaments. And the problem is that if there is a mental health pandemic, it will not remain just a mental health pandemic. It is going to trickle down into our physiological health. It is going to have a massive impact on a country's economy, on the world's economy. We have the problem of absenteeism, where we have well-trained professionals that are not able to show up for work. We have the problem of burnout. We have the problem of student suicide. We have the problem of substance abuse. And governments just can't keep spending money on these issues because if we do not curb them, if we do not nip them in the bud, then we are looking at a problem that would be too much of a predicament to handle in the future. Yes.
Okay, since you spoke about suicide, I have this question. Like, I'm sure you must have come across this news where, recently, 2 weeks ago, an employee, a corporate employee, she was very young and she allegedly died due to work-related stress. So she was working at a very, you know, at a very big firm basically, and reportedly she died due to work-related stress. Have you come across that news? She was 26 years old. She was a chartered accountant.
I have not come across this news, madam, but I would love to
Yeah.
comment on it if you could
Yes,
share
yes,
some.
yes. Please, I want to know about your opinion. Like, what must have gone wrong? What is something, this corporate sectors, probably they are pressurizing the employees? What exactly? Like, there are lots and lots of myths around it. So, is there anything that you would like to address?
I would like to address that we should
Mm.
not leave stress unchecked, because it's not like there is stress and we just drop dead in 1 day or 2 day. The abuse must have been long term. The child that you have mentioned that has lost its life, something that is extremely unfortunate. And if you say she's a chartered accountant, that, oh my goodness, she must have studied so hard, her
Yes.
family must spend so much of money. And that shows that her stress, her self, um, the problem that she has facing must have started from a young age, because stress becomes chronic stress. Chronic stress starts to have a physiological impact on our cardiovascular systems. It starts to develop problems like insomnia, and then we start to and here it's conjecture because I don't know the case details. Then we start to abuse our body to function when we can't sleep. And that is the time when we need sleep aids. That is the time we need stimulants to sort of function. And such abuse over long period of time eventually adds up. And that is why I say chronic stress has to be addressed. And the case that you have defined is something that just kept on happening, and the person involved did not put a check. And the thing is, society plays a very big role in this. I'll give you an example. I am also an expert in theology. That means I work a lot on scripture, and that
Okay.
means I provide faith-based therapies as well. And many times parents come to me, and parents come to me and say that we are stressed, that our child is not stressed. And then I
Okay, so they
am
are
amused.
stressed just because their child is not
Is not
stressed.
stressed. Yeah. And I'll speak in a vernacular. I am not sure if you are well versed in Hindi.
Uh,
So in Hindi, the
okay.
thing is, मेरी बेटी को शादी की चिंता नहीं है, उसको क्या
Mm.
करें कि चिंता हो। अब शादी हो गई, so if they are married, उनको बच्चों की चिंता नहीं है, she's not worried about having kids. Why the hell is she not worried? If a child is in school, they are worried that इसको exams की चिंता नहीं
चिंता
है.
क्यों
So a
नहीं है?
parent
ओके.
is really wishing stress upon that child. And when a child is extremely stressed, so from a part of their heart they are saying, oh my god, he's so stressed. But also I see a sense of pride, false pride. Kitna kaam kar raha hai. And then it's a
So,
culture where we are
mm,
promoting all these things. And that's where I'm saying parents, institutions, as well as individuals have to learn to address chronic stress.
so do you think in India, to be specific, leading a stressful life has become normal? Like, people have started normalizing it.
Not just normalizing it, it's
They're even
something to
promoting it.
strive for. It's something to
Okay,
strive for.
strive for.
It's a
Okay.
it's something to be boastful about, that I have stress, I have so much to do. And if a person is relaxed, if a person is focused upon their mental well-being, if a person is taking a job as a job and learning to disconnect from that job and workplace, such a person is not seen as a go-getter.
The person is seen as not, committed or dedicated towards their work. They are not career oriented, right? This is what the conception is right now for a hardworking employee. You have to be
This is what
always
countries around the
burdened with.
world, countries in the EU,
Mhm.
countries in North America are now developing policies that gives the right to an employee to shut off after the workday is done. And I
So
think
why do you
this
think India is not adopting that? Because now there are cases which is like so evident. They're pointing out fingers at the companies which that are promoting toxic work culture, or excessive uh, pressure. They're burdening the employees with excessive pressure, with insane work timings. So why aren't they not adopting what is being preached outside?
So I feel India is trying, and
Mm.
India has developed institutions like NIMHANS, where we are doing a lot of mental health research and we are trying to get to the root cause of the problem. And the government of India can't really work on all these factors alone. I think this is where it is the public, it is
Yeah,
the
the
private,
society. Mm.
and the government, that all three have to work together. And that can only happen if we promote science, if we promote research, if we try to understand what the problem is. Because India is the land of a lot of indigenous medicines. And a lot of the times, problems are underwritten. And indigenous medicine, although I myself am a promoter of indigenous medicines and indigenous wellness modalities, I still am very, very aware of what needs to be said to a person who is suffering. When it comes to indigenous medicine, especially in India, I've seen sometimes that we overpromise and underdeliver. And at times like this, at the times of crisis, it is research that takes a back seat, because people think that we know. Just because we are doing something, we know stress, we know depression, we know insomnia, we know bipolar, we know schizophrenia. Whereas the fact is, we do not know. We have to research upon these modalities. We have to research upon the mental health of the students. We have to research upon not just the urban mental health, but rural mental health as well. We have to understand what's happening with women, what's happening with men, what's happening with students. And once we have that research, once we have that clear data, that is the moment where government of India can create policies and then implement it in that private sector. But it's a long way to go, because all you have to do is understand the budget and understand how much money we are putting in mental health research, and you would
But
be amazed to
but
know
also
how
in
little it is.
organizations, we have seen ki there are training programs, like a weekly program will be there where they will speak to the employees, or be it school or colleges, they'll speak to the students about the well-being, mental well-being, or they'll talk about yoga. They'll even start. They'll get a professional who will teach us yoga and all. Do you think, like, how do these kind of programs help the people?
It depends completely upon the intention of the organization. Because I work with Fortune 500 organizations, some of the organizations are performative. Performative means that World Yoga Day is coming, World Mental Health Day is coming, Suicide Prevention Week is coming. So
Mhm.
that is the time they want to do something that looks good on paper, that looks
Yeah.
sort of nice and
Mhm.
strategic.
Yeah.
So that they would do all these things, and then that's it. It's a performance. Mental health is long term. Mental health has to be implemented. And I see that in some of the companies that I work with. I can't name them, but some of the top tech companies, they are very, very concerned about their mental health, and they know that their value comes from their employees. And if their employees are having a problem, then that means that microcosm will affect the macrocosm. It will affect the
Exactly.
company morale, it will affect the company performance, and that is something they can't afford.
Afford. Mm.
You have to understand the economics of mental health, and that's what I said when we were beginning, that absenteeism or burnout or mental health issues of an employee has a dollar cost associated with it. And I think that is where again the population dynamics also comes into play, because some of these companies spend so much money on recruitment, so much money on building that talent, that now they are worried about the mental health of the talent. Whereas a country that has an exorbitant population, the thought process is that you are dispensable. Whereas if you can't figure out to run with a program, then we'll just get somebody else that's standing in line. So that human value is an attitude that some companies have, and they value that talent above all. But then there are, of course, some companies that do value monetary gain above all. And that is where I think, even as an employee,
Mm.
um, If we have a choice, then we should choose who we are working for.
True, true. Okay.
But again,
Mhm.
if we have a choice, and looking at the current economy, a lot of people do not have a choice.
Do not
And it
have the
is at
choice, right?
these times, where our conversation should go now is what can we do where we cannot control the circumstances that are around us. So, what can we do to make sure that we do not cause our own burnout? Yes.
So the question that you raised in the end, like what can we do? Just help us with the answer. Help us understand like how we can go about it.
So, there are three things. Number
Mhm.
one, we need to understand our own mental health. So if we are at a place where we are finding that it is very difficult to function, that we have reached to a stage that we cannot manage, or to a point where we are hiding our substance abuse, we are hiding our insomnia, we are hiding our depression, we are having suicidal tendencies, that's where you need acute care. Seek out help. Seek out some form of pharmaceutical intervention from a psychiatrist. Seek out some institutionalization that will help you decompress if you are at that stage where you think,
Mhm.
I can't manage anything. Secondly, if you are at a stage where you feel that yes, things are still under your control, then that is the time you should look at chronic care. And chronic care is when we work upon behavioral modification. And what that means is we start to bring in modalities in our life that can help us become much more resilient. This is called resilience training. So we learn meditative modalities, we learn how to breathe, we learn how to mitigate stressful situations, and we learn how to deal with the stress that comes in our life. And trust me, it is a skill. I have worked with militaries. The whole point of training is making a soldier understand the stressful situation that is going to come, and how a soldier is going to deal with the problem that he is going to face. So if we bring that training, then we will have the tools that can help us. But we must understand mental health is a long term effort. Thirdly, if you find that there is no problem, you are living your life just fine, I would still recommend preventative modalities, because prevention is better than cure. If you are at a stage where you don't feel stress, you can get a good night's sleep, you are not dependent upon substances, you have happy thoughts, that, oh my goodness, you are one of the luckiest people in the world. But we do not know about uncertainty. Uncertainty is one of the biggest reasons of stress, fear, and anxiety. So, to deal with that uncertainty, it is much simpler to start practicing some form of behavioral modification through meditation or contemplative arts. Yes.
Okay. So the first point that you said, um, like a question, struck my mind actually. So a few people they are, under this impression, okay, if at all they are, feeling they are having suicidal tendencies, or if they feel they are not in a healthy mental state, uh,
Mhm.
they don't want to reach out to a professional because they think that others will call them mad. They are not fit, like they are not fit to have a healthy conversation with people, and people will start calling them mad. Uh, they are not mentally sound and all of that jazz. So how do we break that taboo? Because I have seen people, I have a few friends, and they are scared of reaching out to professional, but then yeah, whatever symptoms that they are talking about, it indicates to the fact that probably they are not in a correct mental space. So
Depends where you are going. If you're going to a professional, there are ethics involved, and all your data is supposed to be completely, utterly confidential. So who will call you mad? The problem, I think, comes if you go to a Panditji and you say, I have depression in front of 20,000 people in a pandal on a mic. Then there is a problem. Then there are no ethics. Then there is no compliance. Then there is no confidentiality. The problem is
but I think
where
that
you
is
are
quite
going with that
common in
issue.
India. That is quite common in India. We Like
Yes,
whenever you open
so
Instagram or Facebook, you will go through such reels where, people reach out to a pandit and they, openly discuss their problems, and the solution that we get is
yeah, so that
has
is what
no
I'm
head or
saying to
tail.
you.
Yeah.
It
Mm.
completely depends on where you are taking your problem. If you feel you need acute help, there are trained professionals that can help you. And even if you're taking theological aids, that is what a Pandiji is, then also be very careful on which theological aid you are going to take, because India is the land which has a lot of beauty in its history in dealing with and understanding mental health. We have manuscripts like Yog Vashisht, the Bhagavad Gita, Kathopanishad, where we are dealing in detail about the predicaments of the mind and how to deal with it. We have the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, we have the Shiva Sutras, we have works by Abhinav Gupta, we have Sushruta Samhita that talks about even the biology of belief. So, again, there are means out there that will give you correct solutions. So you have to work hard little bit, or confide in the people you love that can help you, and then you all can work together on a solution and understand this: you deserve health. So even if in your health journey somebody calls you mad, to hell with them.
So what
They
if
are
that comes from our friends or parents? For because we, like, this is the normal tendency of a human being. The first person we reach out to is probably our parents or our boyfriend or our best friend, like, the nearest person who we are in touch with, who we share our, sorrows with. So what if they they say ki no, probably you are overthinking and you don't need that help? What if it comes from someone who is actually very close to you? Then
then
what?
don't be gaslighted,
Hmm.
because you can be gaslighted. And you have to understand your parents are a product of their time. They are a
Yeah.
product of their society, and they did deal with their issues in a way, and they are probably more resilient than you because they
Mm.
have tools like faith and belief that they worked upon, which you may not have. And going to them and listening to something that you feel is not right, then again,
Mm.
do not be gaslighted. And again, why are you going to your friend? Why are you going to
No,
parents? It's
it's
fine
just
because
like
parents are
discussing
trustworthy
things. Yeah.
and parents will help. But again, that's the thing. If you are having typhoid, you're not going to your friend, you're going to a doctor.
Doctor. Yeah.
If you are having mental health issues, then you need a healthcare professional. You need an HCP, an HCW, and even if you are going towards a faith-based protocol, then you need a faith-based modality. I'm faith-based, but I understand mental health. So you need, even in faith-based, there are resources that will help you deal with your predicament, but then you have to be wise on where you are going. And again, I am telling you this is for chronic care. For acute care, we can't afford to make mistakes. Imagine if there is somebody who is suicidal and he goes to a resource like a friend, and a friend just snubs him down and says, "Ye le do teen peg pee le, bhul ja
Mm.
this that," and unfortunately the child does something, then the friend has to live with guilt all his life, because if the friend doesn't understand mental health issues, is it on the friend? So we have to learn to have empathy, understanding, and awareness. That is why a lot of mental health is about awareness itself. So if you are such a person who is intelligent, who is educated, who is aware, then maybe it becomes your moral obligation to help guide different generations around you, to help them understand what mental health issues are.
So how do we identify this is the right stage? This is the time I should go and speak to a professional who can help me out, come out of the situation. So some of the indicators that you would like to, you know, tell us.
So burnout is a very good indicator. When we feel there is a completely lack of motivation, there is a form of desensitization where we feel completely disconnected to the work that we are doing. We feel completely disconnected to our family and friends. We start to become alienated, isolated. We start to feel that we cannot continue without the aid of substances, and those substances could be stimulants or inhibitors, and we find ourselves going into a cocoon, and we feel that we do not have the scope to come out of it. I think that is the time when you start to feel completely, totally helpless. You need help. And that is the time somebody has that ability out there to help you come out of this situation and teach you never to go back in this hole again. Yes.
Okay. So in situation like this, how do you think yoga helps us?
So yoga is a preventative tool. Yoga is a lifestyle management tool. A person who has a recurring practice of yoga is found to be much more resilient than a normal person. Resilience means our ability to deal with stress. Some people have very low resilience, so minor stressful situation will break them. And low resilience also means the inability to heal from traumatic events when they come. We have seen this over and over in our research. People who have yoga, people who have a theological backing in their life, they are much more resilient. They are much more prone to rehabilitating themselves from trauma, and they are much more prone to um, living through crisis. So if a person uses yoga as a tool to bring peace and balance in their life every single day, and when I say yoga, I don't just mean the physical exercises that people think are yoga, because yoga is much deeper. Physical exercise is a very small part, maybe like 3% of yoga. The real cognitive aspect of yoga, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, awareness, intention, contemplation, all those things, if they are mastered on a daily basis, then that is the person who will have a very high resilience. And I really request parents that if you care for your child and if you want your child to be in high stressful environments that are going to we know statistical data. We know today ER surgeons are more prone to stress. We know it's a workplace hazard. We know about chartered accountants. They face so many cardiovascular diseases. We know about engineers, data scientists, that these are high stress jobs. So you are sending your kid into a high stress environment, but you are not giving them any form of resilience training. Then
True.
you are setting up your kid for failure. So that is the time where we understand the workplace hazard, and yoga should become policy. Meditation should become policy. It should be part of the education system, because Indians are the one around the world that are doing the most stressful jobs. So if our youth is the one that is dealing with the crap of the world, then we need to be trained to deal at least with our own crap.
So do
That's
you
what I
think
believe.
there is a training required for the parents too, for them to understand the, because obviously, like I said before, like when a person is going through something, they will reach out to their friends, family, parents. So parents should also be educated, since you said, because they are the product of previous times. So they might not be well educated about the situation their child is going through. So there should be proper training for parents too.
I think we should take a step that has the minimum steps required. So if you want mental health to be prevalent, then the more steps you involve, the more difficult it is
Hmm.
to actually implement.
Implemented.
So I believe children are going to educational institutions.
Hmm.
I believe there is government policy that dictates standards of the educational institutions. And I believe it is high time that governments wake up, which they are waking up around the world.
Mhm.
that they start investing in data, they start investing in research, they start understanding the beauty and benefits of yoga-based, meditation-based modalities, and they start implementing them in standardized educational protocols. Because if a parent is making the effort to send a child to school, the parent already acknowledges that he doesn't have the means to educate the child at
Educate them
home.
enough, huh? Right. Mm.
So that's why they are sending them to school, and that's what they are expecting कि जो हम नहीं कर सकते, what we are not capable of. If we are spending half of our salaries in sending this child to school, then the school must do a good job, and the school is doing whatever it's doing based upon the standards that have been created by the government, by the educational institutions. So that is where the work needs to happen. Policy. If policy is implemented, that is where we save lives. Yes.
Okay. So, tell me in your experience, like how effective are non-pharmaceutical approaches like meditation, mindfulness, okay,
For
compared to
severe acute
traditional
cases,
therapies? Compared
for
to
severe
traditional
and acute,
therapies.
yes, for
Hmm.
severe and acute cases, we need pharmaceutical interventions. If a person is going through a severe bipolar episode of melancholy and mania, if a person is having delusional disorders, delusional episode of schizophrenia,
Hmm.
a person can become a threat to themselves, their loved ones. That is the time pharmaceutical interventions are needed. And where non-pharmaceutical interventions come into play are when we are looking at chronic care. Because let us assume somebody is having an episode, so we may sedate that person, but we can't keep them sedated or chemically lobotomized all their lives. We need to have some strategy, some plan of their behavioral therapy so that they can somehow be in control of their lives. That is where non-pharmaceutical interventions come into play.
Into play.
They are
Hmm.
extremely powerful when it comes to prevention. They are extremely powerful when it comes to rehabilitation. And they are completely, beautifully powerful when it comes to helping a person overcome their mental health issues. So that is where it is an integrative approach to therapy that we must learn to take. An integrative approach is where the psychologist, the psychiatrist, and the native medicine expert is working hand in hand, respecting the boundaries as well as the solutions of each other. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you said you have worked with you know, professionals, athletes, you know, even military personnel, right? So you have worked with a diverse group of people, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. So how do you think your approach in Yoga of Immortals is different, and like how is it adaptable to, you know, diverse group of people?
We have to understand the group of people when it and their
Okay.
needs. So
Hmm.
an athlete will have different needs, but they will still be similar to the needs of, let us say, military personnel. When it comes to military personnel, then what exactly are we dealing with? Are we dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, a veteran that has seen action and now is coming back into real life? Or are we dealing with a soldier that is about to go into battle? So that soldier is, let's say, a cadet in West Point, and he's not yet seen action. So
Okay, so
what are
you
the
also
tools that
work with you know, soldiers who actually, like, before they start their career in the battlefield, or before they mm, before
some
they start doing.
units?
Okay,
Yes.
supplements. Okay, okay.
Even in India itself in 2019, I had the good fortune of working with border security force and some other military units that were getting trained. And even the Indian military is now looking at all these modalities for the betterment of their soldiers. And I was very proud to work with the high ranking officers that I was dealing with, because they were understanding. And something as simple as they were saying that because of phones. When first soldier was, let us assume, on the border, he could focus on his job. And today, all the politics, all the turmoils of home through that phone come to him, and he can't do anything about it. So he is in a state of stress. So they were understanding it. And coming back to your question, that we have to understand who the population subsect is, and based on that, our approach is generally a three-pronged approach. Number one is research. We understand where a person is, where the mental health is. Based upon that, there is a research-based protocol implementation, something that we've already worked upon, and we implement that protocol. After that, there is a post-survey. We see, is that working? Is there some tweaks that need to be done? Is there something that need to be added? And then the whole thing continues: research, implementation, and then the post-survey, research, implement. This is a constant feedback loop that helps us. And the more we work with a subsect or population group, the better we get equipped over time to deal with the issues, because there's a better understanding of that research. And that's why I believe there should be a marriage of science and Indian knowledge systems if we want a long-term impact on the mental health of a population group. Yes.
Okay. Now, you know, share some, practical tips or techniques that, we as individuals can incorporate in our day-to-day lives to improve our mental health.
Fantastic. The first thing I think that we can do is we can learn to switch off from media.
Switch off from
And
media.
from media, not all the time. I understand I am on a media
Actually,
cycle right now.
this is an advice you are giving to a person who herself is a media person. Like I cannot detach myself from media. So
Yes, of course, I
yeah,
understand, but you
yeah.
can have limits. You can have
Okay.
limits. So you can have a limit of when you feel appropriately, you can disconnect from media in the evening and in the morning. So it's called sleep hygiene. It's a mental
Mm.
health detox that we should allow ourselves. So
Can you
let us
please
assume,
elaborate it? Mhm. Sleep
yes, ma'am.
hygiene. Yeah.
Sleep hygiene is so let's assume, for our mental health, we need a good sleep. So let's break it down. We need a good sleep. So for that sleep, we need a sleep hygiene. What that means is that we should have some form of discipline structure when it comes to food, when it comes to our recreation, and when it comes to our schedules. So food is extremely important. I've seen young people, they do not think on what is the food that they are eating, what are the timings at which the food they are eating, and what is the quality of food that they are consuming. They
Mhm.
must understand there is a correlation between food and mental health as well. And if there is a discipline and a structure, it will help them on the long term. Second, when we are talking about social media, it comes with recreation. What are the recreational tools that we are using? We think that we are using social media as a form of healing, as a form of relaxation, whereas we have scientific studies that long-term use of social media is not mitigating our stress, but in some way it is increasing our stress and anxiety. So we must find out better ways of recreation that gives us a boost in our long-term mental health and physiological health. So recreation could be sports, recreation could be exercise, recreation could be quality time with your friends and family, recreation could be meditation, recreation could be yoga. Social media is not recreation, it's numbing, it's technological drugs, it's coded cocaine. So we don't need it as a recreation. So we must understand that there should be timings with which we indulge in it,
Mhm.
and there should be timings when we stop drowning in it. So that's another thing, recreation. And the third thing is, if we can have some form of a schedule. Schedule is very important. Schedule allows us to be accountable to ourselves. Something as simple as choosing the time to wake up, choosing the time to sleep. We have seen it gives a lot of impact, a better impact on a person's mental health. Secondly, in schedule, what do you do right after you wake up also matters. Let us assume you wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and then you pick up your phone and you start scrolling, or you
It's not
sleep
helping you
at
in any way. Mm.
precisely. So if you wake up at 5 in the morning, then what precisely you do after wake up? If you have a healthy recreational activity like exercise, like meditation, like yoga, it will help you. The same goes before you go to sleep. That is the time you must indulge in a healthy recreational activity. And these things, I think, can help you. Second thing that I would really recommend to youth is focus on a form of community. In everyday lives, colleagues are not community.
Hmm.
Family is not community. Community is people who have shared values. Community is a people who have shared interests. So maybe join a community, maybe join a meditation group or a dance group or a sports group. I don't know, some group where you can indulge in an activity that makes you happy, that allows you to be better. And that community should not be like a social pressure, like a kitty party that karna padega, but something that you want to do,
You
something
want
that
to do,
interests
which
you.
interests you. Yeah.
Precisely, and that community will have a massive positive impact on your mental health.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Uh, so can you see me? Yeah. Sorry, the window disappeared suddenly. Okay. So what I feel is mental health issues, they often carry a stigma. I feel.
Mhm.
So, are you with me? Like, even do you have the same, like,
No, nobody likes having an issue.
yeah.
Even diabetes, nobody likes to have it.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to have it. Everybody tries to barter with destiny when a
Mhm.
problem comes. Nobody wants to have cancer.
Exactly.
Everybody will think, why is it? Every disease, disorder, predicament comes with a form of prejudice and stigma.
Stigma.
But
So,
now,
mhm.
mental health is too much of an issue to just push under the rug. It is a very real predicament, and
Mhm.
it is a predicament that the whole family faces together. The more we
Exactly. Mm.
understand
Mm.
that this is an issue and we must work upon the solutions, the better it is. And in fact, I think mental health issue is a wake up call, because generally when we look at mental health issues, then yes, there are some issues that are genetic. There are some issues that could be passed on from your family,
Yeah.
issues like schizophrenia. And
Okay, so schizophrenia is something that we pass on to our next
that can
generations.
that can
Okay.
it
Okay.
can be passed on genetically. Even
Okay.
depression, even suicidal tendencies, even substance
Oh.
abuse disorders, there is a generational trauma associated with it. And if there is substance abuse in the previous generation, then the chances of the next generation dealing with that issue can happen. So a lot of the times, yes, there are issues that are genetic, but most of the time these are preventable lifestyle disorders. Anxiety, stress, uh, and so many other issues, these are preventable lifestyle disorders. So if the mental health issue is coming up and it's preventable, if it's a lifestyle disorder, and we start to have what you call a sort of mental stigma associated with it, that oh, why can't I drink like my friends, or why can't I abuse my body like the world around me, why can't I work like my dadaji,
Mm.
then the trouble is we are not listening to our body's alarm bells, and that's when tragedies happen. So mental health issue is your body telling you, your mind telling you, wake up. You can't live like this. There is no happiness. There is no gold coin at the end of the rainbow. You're not a leprechaun, for God's sake. You're a human being, and you value and you matter, and you must wake up. And you have that ability, no matter if the issue is genetic, no matter if it's a lifestyle issue, to live a life in a certain manner where you can heal yourself. Healing is possible, cure is possible, resilience is possible once effort is made. Yes.
Okay. So before we wind up this conversation, I just give a message to those who are, hesitant to seek help for their, mental health struggles. What would be your message to them?
My message would be you matter. You matter. Uh, if you are bleeding and you bleed to death, then who are you useful to? Even in the aeroplane, they say, help yourself before you help others. You matter. And if there are people in your life that love you and there are things you want to do for them, then understand, help yourself. Charity begins at
At
home.
home. Mm.
And if you can take these steps, if you can value yourself, if you can love yourself, if you can just accept one thing, that's it, one thing. I want all of you who are listening to me, just look in a mirror and say this to yourself. You deserve peace. You deserve happiness. And if you can just accept this, then please reach out, seek any help that you deem necessary. If you need theological, then go towards theology. If you need non-theological, just go towards non-theological. Do not procrastinate your health journey. Tragedies happen, and we will not like you to be part of some statistical data. We want
True.
you to be part of happiness, joy, and love. That's what I would like to say.
Okay, one last question. I know the previous question was supposed to be the last one, but since the conversation is really very insightful, now just one question I have is
Yes, ma'am.
what do you think we as a society, what steps do we need to take to normalize conversations around mental health?
Invest in research.
Okay.
Invest in data, invest in strategies, and then once we have data, then invest in implementation. That is the only way we can have conversations. Otherwise, we are just taking out data points from the air, and that's not how good work happens. We need to invest in an infrastructure of research. That is what we need to do as a society. And I think India has such a big population group. India has such a vast urban and rural population that if India becomes serious about mental health, then India can become a world leader, because India has so many, it has a plethora of indigenous and native medicine modalities. It has a plethora of mindfulness, meditative yoga modalities. We can do so much of research that we can provide solutions to the world. And the government keeps on saying Vishwa Guru. I think this is the
Struggle,
best
yeah.
way to be a Vishwa Guru, because the whole world is being mad. The whole world's trajectory of mental health is going down. And if India can solve this problem, then the whole world will be forever grateful. Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Have a very, very pleasant day. This was an insightful interview, and I'm
Yes, yes.
expecting on your skills.
I assume I have covered everything. Like since you are the expert uh in this topic. So do you think we like do you want to address anything else that we didn't cover in this conversation? Anything else that you want to
I
add?
think, madam, we covered a lot of things, and you will help a lot of people with this conversation. And if ever there is anything like you told me about this case that happened, if there's anything at all that happens where you will need some form of insight into a mental health predicament, then I'm always there as a resource.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was really
Thank you, ma'am.
nice having a word with you. I learned a lot of things today. Thank you so much. I'm sure this conversation will help a lot of people who are currently in a situation where they cannot seek help, and this, virtual meeting that we had can save lives. I hope that.
Thank you, Ms. Saha. Thank you so very much. Have a beautiful day. Bye bye.
Yeah, we should the same. Thank you.